Welcome back to the channel, and only one place to start tonight, Jaya. Rafael Nadal winning his 21st Grand Slam at the Australian Open. What a tournament, what an event. Drama surrounded it, but in the end, a magnificent final we witnessed with Nadal and Medvedev. Jaya, talk us through what was a magnificent win for the Spaniard.
Oh, tremendous, Sam. I mean, who would have saw this coming? I mean, I think Nadal even said in one of his interviews that a month and a half ago, he didn't even think he'd be playing the sport again. No. So to go from that position of just being, doing rehab every single day, not knowing if he's going to be back on a tennis court, to then go and win one of the biggest tournaments in the world, one of the 4 Grand Slams at the Australian Open. I mean, it's remarkable. And I think it's a true testimony to his hard work, dedication, and just pure love for the game. It's just brilliant to see.
No one saw it coming, did they? Not even us on our predictions video last week on the channel. Took us all by surprise, took the world by surprise. I think it's fair to say. And just the will power he had to get through every single round, and then obviously up against, arguably in my eyes, the greatest player currently in the men's game, Medvedev. 2 sets down. Jaya, did you think he was down and out?
I think, like most people, we thought he'd be down and out, but at the end of the day, it just goes to show you can never count Nadal out. I mean, he's always able to come back from pretty much any situation. I mean, what was it? 2 sets to love down. It was 2-3, love 40 on his serve, and he managed to pull out a 5-set winner. I mean, it's remarkable, and he surprises us every time. But it never gets boring to see these sort of comebacks.
Inspirational. I think watching the game, watching the match Sunday, it was a joy to watch. It's probably the most I've enjoyed a tennis match in so many years. Smiling throughout, the passion, the crowd were brilliant. Medvedev, obviously, as he always does, plays his part. I mean, what a talent to break through. We've had Djokovic, Federer, and obviously the king, Nadal, dominating the men's game. But Medvedev is making real strides, I feel. I mean, what an effort. He obviously was the player who, obviously, as you guys know, I backed to win the Australian Open outright. And as I say, breathtaking all round. We're going to come back, Jaya, to Nadal on the podcast tonight in a little while, but we have to give a special mention on the women's side to Ash Barty. I mean, she was the Aussie. She was inspirational, wasn't she? I mean, obviously the fans were on her side throughout every single round, but a great straight sets win. What did you make of her performance in the final?
Yeah, I mean, Sam, she's one of my favourite players to watch on the women's side at the moment, for sure. I love her variety that she has in her game, and she can just play on any surface really well. And she definitely used the home crowd to her advantage. Yeah. But I mean, in the final, she just went from strength to strength, and there was just no stopping her. I felt like she had so much confidence from the crowd. She was, feeling good in her game, playing very well in every round. So fully deserves it, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I mean, so she beat Danielle Collins, the young American tennis player coming through. And it was, with Ash Barty, again, just like you say, Jai, a brilliant performance throughout every single round of the tournament. I mean, she was one of the favourites going into it, but still, there's a lot of pressure when you're the home favourite, the expectation of the country on her shoulders. And she did brilliantly to come through that, and it will be interesting to see how she gets on throughout the rest of the calendar year. Moving back then, Jaya, to Rafael Nadal, who we just cannot stop talking about. What next for him? Where do you think he's going to go? How much further can he go? And are we talking about Grand Slam number 22 on the horizon?
I definitely wouldn't count it out, Sam. I mean, he's surprised us again by coming from nowhere and winning the Australian Open in 5 sets. So if he can do that, I think he can go on and win the French. I think he could win any of the next 3 Grand Slams this year, to be fair, Sam. I mean, his his game is at such a great level. I mean, I think he said it was probably one of the most emotional matches he'd ever played.
Yeah,
It's
you
this
could see it in
far
his
in his
eyes, couldn't you?
career. It's that it absolutely, you could see him getting
Yeah,
emotional at the end of the match, and I see him carrying on in the way that he's carrying on at the moment. I mean, he said, I think in one of his interviews at the end of the tournament, that it's given him so much more energy to go forwards for the rest of the year and to keep playing all the tournaments. So for me, I think it's almost like another surge in his last few years on the tour, and I think he's going to definitely make the most of it.
and that upcoming French Open, I mean, it's going to be an absolute belter, isn't it? In terms of the players that you've got, you're going to have Djokovic hungry for success. He will be furious after what happened down under, and he's going to come back with a bang, you feel, and you know he'll be desperately trying to get that his 21st Grand Slam to tie level with Rafael Nadal. But then don't forget you've got Medvedev, who's just narrowly lost that final. He's going to be up there. Dominic Thiem, if he can come back from injury, we know how good he is on clay. So it's a wide open tournament on the men's side. And obviously we'll be bringing you our predictions video for that massive Grand Slam in a few months' time. On the women's side, you've got Barty, you've got Osaka, you've got Muguruza. Any of those, Jai, you see going far as we enter the clay court season?
Well, I think going back to what I said about Barty, I think she possesses such variety in her game. I think she can be dangerous on any surface. You mentioned Muguruza. I think she's a great clay court player. The amount of spin that she gets on her shots, and also growing up on clay obviously helps. So plus there's going to be some outsiders that we won't expect to do well that will do well. So it's going to be interesting for sure, as it always is on the women's side.
It will be. And greatest of all time, don't forget, for everyone watching at home, we did a video on this around a year ago where Jaya and myself discussed who we thought was going to be the greatest of all time. And we're talking Djokovic, Federer, and Nadal when we discussed this. So check out that video. I'll put the link in the description below. Have a little look. A really popular video, that one from last year. And going back to that, Jaya, have your thoughts changed? Has your prediction changed since last time?
Well, Sam, it definitely makes things more interesting. I know Djokovic is definitely a favourite for that stat of being greatest of all time, if we're talking about Grand Slams, that is. And to be fair, Sam, it's going to be close. I slightly edge towards Djokovic now, just because I can see his hunger, his determination to want to come back and win slams. So Nadal, I mean, first one to get to 21, that's impressive, but I still feel like Djokovic is at such peak in his career, and I feel like he's still got several more years at the top of his game before he starts moving away from the tour.
Definitely. I think if Nadal can win the French Open, that'll put him up to 22 Grand Slam wins. You've got Medvedev, you've got Aliassime, you've got Zverev. They're going to come back, and potentially you look at Djokovic, and Djokovic he's getting no younger. He's getting no younger.
Sorry?
So as time goes on, is he going to have? Obviously, he's an incredible talent. He's an amazing, we know that, amazing tennis player. With the next generation coming up, it's going to be interesting to see. Like I say, we're talking Medvedev. For me, is the prime player, but whether he can prevent Djokovic from nudging up, and if Nadal can get to 22, it's going to be interesting to see if Djokovic can follow suit.
Definitely.
It really will. We'll leave it there for the podcast tonight. As I say, what a tournament it was. It started with a lot of drama, as we discussed, but it ended with, safe to say, two magnificent finals on both sides. We mustn't forget. So check out that video. We'll put it in the link. Who we think is going to be the greatest player of all time on the men's side. We will be back for some more podcast videos soon. We're excited to bring you a whole range of topics throughout 2022. Niels will be back joining us too, so we're excited for that. In the meantime, if you're new to the channel, please give us a subscribe, hit the like button below, and leave your comments with your thoughts on the Australian Open and how far can Nadal go. Jaya, thanks as always.
Cheers.
Great to see you. We'll leave it there. We'll see you soon.